Humble bragging was one of them.
Humble bragging is a big one, yeah. The humble brag and the name drop. I mean, everybody's going to do it every once in a while, and it's cool. Like, some things are genuinely worth saying. My favorite Slovenian philosopher, I once met him in a Starbucks. That's a name drop. The ironic thing about that is he's always slagging off Starbucks as being nonsense consumer capitalism. And I was in there.
Was he working behind the till? Zizek.
Zizek, yeah. So he was preparing for a seminar at Birkbeck, and I was doing a seminar at Birkbeck the same day, and I saw him through the window, and I went in and I was like, I'm a big fan of your work. And he's eating a chicken sandwich and drinking a latte. He's like, yes, thank you very much. I will see you later. And he was great. That sometimes is going to come out because it's relevant. What I would say is, if you see people doing that a lot, if you see people, a lot of humble bragging, a lot of name dropping, a lot of, for me, I feel it before I have a cognitive realization. It's a somatic feeling that creeps into me. I'm like, something weird is going on here. Let me just analyze what this person is saying. Hang on a fucking second. They just told me a story 5 minutes ago where they did something amazing, but presented it as something that they didn't really want to do, but they were forced to do. And I was like, that then to me is where I'd start drawing the line and saying, there's something else going on here. This person is trying to convince me of a version of themselves that isn't their authentic self. They're advertising.
It seems mad, again, going back to the beginning of this conversation, when we're both tearing our hair out, going, why don't people notice the humble bragging and oh, I'm so modest and I'm so wonderful, and call it out. I mean, I have such an aversion to it that I think a lot of us do this. I'm sure you do as well. Ricky Gervais is famous for it, is going the other way and just bragging really blatantly, and because it's actually better, I think, than doing the humble brag. So I just go, I've just done an amazing thing. Here's a photo. I'm really proud of myself.
He's probably the master of that. He's actually created his own art of bragging and playing the role of a total braggart in a way that is hilarious.
Yeah.
I think he must have got it from the David Brent character. The playing the role of somebody who's totally unaware of how obnoxious they're being, but he's so charming when he does it. It's what he does is brilliant. And it does seem to be, that would be the way to go. I agree with you. I'm surprised when people can't see this kind of thing coming up. It's very, very frustrating, because to me it's obvious when people are at it, when they're playing a game, when they're engaged in a game to convince you of something that probably isn't true. My propaganda alarm just goes off. I'm like, this is not sincere communication. This is manipulation.
I remember because we're so used to doing the humble, it has to be the humble thing. Remember everyone used to, I can't say the word for it. Well, you can, fraping. People used to leave their Facebook open.
Oh God, yeah.
That was a big thing for a while, wasn't it? Everyone would get each other and then put out like a status and some of their friends' thing, or we'd put on each other. And we'd always me and my friend used to do it to each other. And it would always be stuff like horrible, disgusting things. But we started doing them more subtly so that it might look like it was actually them. And I did it to my friend, who was an academic, and she was all into the literature and stuff like that. And I think I just said, like, just got a really good score in my exam, just really pleased about it. And because no one does that ever, she looked weird and everyone was like, you're right, and having a go at her. And she's like, it wasn't me. I was like, yeah, right. No one believed her that it wasn't her, because it was so just really happy that I did well in my test.
That's very, very subtle propagandizing, comrade. I approve.
What about nice people, fake nice people, narcissists? Does it ever show? Does the mask fall away?
Typically the mask will fall away because what people should understand, if they're not familiar with narcissism, is we think of narcissism as being stable. So they're always feeling good about themselves and they always feel entitled. That's called grandiose narcissism. It's highly correlated with psychopathy. Most narcissism that shows up in the world is not like that. It's compensatory and it's vulnerable narcissism. So they're actually battling the sense that they really don't deserve the status that they've gone for, and they struggle with feelings of shame. When they're struggling with feelings of shame, they become hypervigilant and hypersensitive. Any narcissistic injury that they receive, which could be basically any feedback from reality or people in reality that say, hey, you're not as amazing as you fucking think you are, will induce narcissistic rage. So if things are not going well, the mask will probably slip and you'll see an incident of narcissistic rage, and you won't recognize the person. It'll be like a Jekyll Hyde situation. They'll show up as a completely different character and get very, very nasty very, very quickly.
Have you experienced that?
Multiple times. I was raised in a household like that. So yeah.
What was that like?
For a child, it was confusing and frightening, and probably what led me to the study of psychology, because I got good at detecting it before it came along. I became hypervigilant of other people's emotional states. I became hypervigilant of other people's modes of communication. It was to try and make myself safe, basically, in that environment.
Was that both parents?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And alcohol could be a factor as well. This is the kind of environment that breeds codependency, a codependency that I've struggled with my whole life.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, codependency is not a clinical term. It's a term that came into popularity in the 1980s. There was 3 bestsellers written in America by American women talking about highly narcissistic and psychopathic husbands, and they described the women who stayed with them as codependents. So you are servile, you are submissive, you are overgiving in a way to avoid the pain of punishment. You trade off parts of yourself that you otherwise shouldn't do, just so that you feel calm and feel safe again. And that's a typical codependent mode of operating inside of a relationship.
It must have been very difficult for you growing up.
Yes, it was hard. It was unpleasant. I got out of the house as soon as I could. As soon as I was of age, I left. It was a very, very uncomfortable environment to grow up in.
Does that affect you still today?
Yes, I'm still in therapy. Yeah. I'm seeing my therapist tomorrow. Once a week, I'm in therapy. Yeah, I have to go to therapy. Therapy massively helps. I stopped for 5 years, and I really wish I had.
So some people say the issue is, and I've felt this a little bit as well, it gives you like a hit of adrenaline, like talking about your issues with someone, being close with them and having a breakthrough, and then you need to keep going back. It's very easy to do therapy wrong. And that's not, maybe there'll always be an element of that there. I equate that to like when people say they love watching my YouTube videos. I'm like, what do you love about the fact that you're only watching my video because you were narcissistically abused? But there is a dopamine hit from the recognition and the validation. Yeah. They know that they've been in a narcissistically abusive relationship. Therapy sometimes can be rewarding, and sometimes, largely speaking, it's just insight. It's an interaction with truth. That was Jung who said that. It's the therapist's prime job is to bring the patient to truth. So if you're getting a lot of dopamine hits from that would suggest to me that your relationship with truth itself is probably a little bit off. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of emotional immaturity still there, but with as therapy continues, that would pass. I also started to worry that my therapist was relying on my weekly income. The pay. Yeah.
I mean, we have to think about all these things. It's the real world. Capitalism.
People don't think about that. I think with therapy, like you're really thinking it after some time. And I was seeing him for a while, and I was like, I think maybe I'm okay. And he was like, are you though? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'll be back next week then. And later I changed therapists, and she was quite soon, was just like, look, I think you're all right to go. And I was like, but you live in a nicer house than this person did. So you don't need it as much.
There are financial pressures at work here for sure.